We got sucked into the game, and we become the avatars we chose. Where's my hair?
I have a tattoo.
Where's the rest of me?
No! I look like a living garden gnome. Where is my phone? We have to work together.
Don't let this new body get your butt whooped.
Ow! Ow! Jumanji.
If I was to tell you that a reboot to a movie that I was never a real fan of would turn out to be as good as this did, you would have thought I was crazy. But lo and behold, we're talking about one of the more pleasant surprises in a long, long time. Part of a lackluster Christmas week overall. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It's the penultimate weekend of 2017. Christmas week, December 22nd, 2017. And we're starting off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which is a sequel to the 1995 Jumanji movie, which I've said in the past that I'm not the biggest fan of it. I was never really a fan of it as a kid. And I've come around to it, sort of, but never to the point where I would still say it's a great movie overall. It still has a lot of problems, specifically with the visuals overall. The CG looks terrible. It looked terrible back then, and it looks even worse now. But the rest of the movie is passable. I'll give it that. But this movie was one of those really big surprises that I don't think me or anybody else saw coming at all. Because, yeah, it turned out to be a really, really good movie. So, it's set 21 years after Jumanji, and it follows 4 teenagers who are transported into the video game world of Jumanji and play as their chosen characters. You've got Dwayne Johnson as one of the kind of the nerdy guy, kind of like the dweeby guy of the group. Kevin Hart, who is human avatar, is the human form is the he's like an athlete and all that. You have Karen Gillan playing kind of the not ugly, but not beautiful, kind of plain Jane in the middle person who has a crush on Spencer, the main boy in this, and then you have the pretty girl in this who turns into Jack Black, which leads into a lot of really, really funny comedy with that. So they have to overcome the game's magical power to win and return home. And like I said, this was a movie that really came out of nowhere. I couldn't believe that the movie did as well as it did at the box office. I mean, it made over $400 million on the same, not but a couple of days after Star Wars The Last Jedi, which was expected to be the biggest hit of the holiday season, which it was, but the fact that this movie not only was able to make almost about 80% of what Star Wars did, because this made over $400 million domestically, but it actually became Sony's highest grossing movie of all time, beating out the first Spider-Man movie. Now, obviously, it has been overpassed by that with Spider-Man No Way Home recently, and will probably do that again once Brand New Day comes out at the end of the month here. But like I said, I've never liked the original Jumanji. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's really the CG that really doesn't hold well at all. But I was watching this, and I was watching the trailers for it, and I was really surprised at how good this actually looked. And even more so on how good the actual film was, because, yeah, it's a really good movie, and mostly because the cast works well off each other. Not just Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, and Jack Black, but the main 4 characters, when you see them in high school, is when they're out in not even high school, but like in the regular world. Like, you do buy that they have some kind of a connection to one another, and they will eventually become best friends by the end of the movie, and they're played very well by these really great actors. And I do like the fact that their personalities go into these characters when they enter the video game. So you got Dwayne Johnson acting like the main character, and Jack Black acting like the beauty spoiled rich girl. Not even rich, but spoiled girl in this case here, and it works very well. The chemistry all throughout this movie is great, and the humor is great too. Like there's a great running gag with sort of like the Navi of the game, if you will, who tells them what to do, played by Rhys Darby, and he's very funny. He has a very he has pretty much the same character identity throughout the course of the movie. Just like tell them what to do, and then at the end of the game you say, "Congratulations, you won the game." And it's just like, it's really fun overall. They do a great job of making fun of video game logic. Like, unlike the Emoji Movie from earlier in the year, this was clearly made by people who knew what they were doing and weren't just making a movie strictly because, hey, emojis are the big thing. Let's make a movie where we have no idea what the hell these things do on your phone, and we'll get it written by people who have no idea how to write for teenagers in that case. But here, they know how to write the stuff for what they're trying to accomplish here. I even like the homages they made to the original movie here while also creating something new out of it. I mean, it's not a perfect movie overall, but this is definitely a ton of fun with a lot of great action, great comedy, and just great fun all around. I was blown away by how much I enjoyed this movie, man, and I was really excited to see what they would do next with the sequel. And the sequel turned out to be pretty good too, which also makes you very curious to see what they're going to do for the third film coming out later this year. But yeah, we're still a long way away to getting to the next level, the second film, but we will get there eventually over time. So, but nevertheless, I do like Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle a lot. I think it is definitely a much better movie than the first Jumanji is, and definitely one of those big surprises that you don't see really coming for a long time overall. But yeah, it looked pretty good, and it ended up being really good in the process. So Jumanji wasn't the only franchise that got a new movie this weekend. Pitch Perfect is back with a new film, Pitch Perfect 3. I like the first two movies, but let's just say that parts of the third, when the trailers for Pitch Perfect 3 came out, I was getting that look of nervousness, like, I don't know if this is gonna work. See what I mean when I show you a little bit of it here.
That's right there.
The Barden Bella's an unlikely group of not men who somehow managed to win at something that didn't have to do with baking.
I can hear you.
They've graduated college, have spread their wings, and are attempting to fly.
Papaya Players Delight? With a shot of white privilege?
Hopefully not becoming the failures we all expect them to be.
I feel really good about where I'm at right now. I'm trying to get into vet school. Fingers crossed.
Where are they now?
My name is Fat Amy Winehouse, so let's get cracking.
Yeah. Some of that comedy right there was just so bad. I mean, the fact that we're still doing the Fat Amy jokes, and it's just like, it's Fat Amy Winehouse. Like, I mean, it also didn't help that this was a bad trailer, and there was a point when this trailer came out that I saw it in theaters 6 times over the course of a month. Like, they showed it with Despicable Me 3, of course, because it's a Universal movie, then Baby Driver, then Spider-Man Homecoming, then with The House, then with War for the Planet of the Apes, then Girls Trip, and I wouldn't have a problem with this if the trailer actually looked good. But the problem was, the trailer looked like it was the biggest middle finger ever to this franchise, and it felt like they really just fell apart with what made these first 2 movies so good. So, I mean, that's why it took me such a long time to go see this movie overall, because of just how much the trailer just really made me go like, oh my god, this looks awful. I mean, I've done an entire blog post. I did an entire blog post where I literally had timestamps of everything that was wrong with this trailer overall. And if you want to go check that out, go check out the link. Go check it out on the website. I'll put the link down below so you can go check it out as well. But yeah, I literally one of the timestamps talking about looking at how bad this trailer looked, and yeah, it did look pretty bad overall. But it took me a while to see the actual movie because I really didn't want to see the film after I saw the trailer. And I saw the film, and let's just say that all my fears about this movie pretty much came true, because holy mother of God, this was a disaster. So as you can see from the early parts of the trailer, the Bellas have kind of separated and have gone their different ways, and some of them are having, not a whole lot of them are having success overall, so they decide to reunite for one final performance together as part of a USO tour. Now, if it was just that, then maybe this film could have worked overall. But the problem was the rest of the movie was just, it suddenly turns into a bizarre action movie. Like, it's just kind of like it, because, you know, it happens around the U.S. Army base. There's this whole subplot where they get kind of I'm trying to remember what happened with this movie, because it just went butt-fuck crazy on itself. They really just kind of add this action subplot where it literally turns into the Fast and Furious. Like, it was literally going down that pathway. And some people have even said that this movie is like a channel for U.S. Army propaganda, and the production actually had the United States Army collaborate with the film overall so they can do script reviews and all that. And it definitely shows in this movie, because holy mother of God, like, this movie is a mess, man, on so many levels. I mean, And the worst part about it is this is not written by hacks either. This is written by people who are familiar with this franchise. Kate Cannon has written the other two. Was it part of the other two movies in particular? I think she wrote. I'm pretty sure she wrote both of the first two movies. And then you have Mike White. Mike White's not a bad writer at all. He's done a lot of great stuff. But for some reason, this movie just took the Little Fockers approach where they took everything that made the first two movies funny and just completely ruined it. They completely threw it out the door for more gross out humor, more lame jokes, more of the same jokes from the previous movie, except even worse. Like the whole thing with John Michael Higgins and Elizabeth Banks in the beginning, where they're doing this documentary about the Bellas and all that. It's just like they're not even being funny at that. And these are two very funny people. And they're just being wasted on just lame comedy, one after the other. And the rest of the movie is like that. It feels like this movie was not made by the same people who put the love and care in the first two Pitch Perfect movies. And it's just such a disaster, man. This series could have been so good. They could have gone the pathway of the Mighty Ducks franchise, because it looked like that's what they were doing with the second movie. Because Pitch Perfect 2 was very much similar to D2 The Mighty Ducks, where you have the main American team going up against the international team in that movie. But for this third film, well, the way it is kind of like Pitch Perfect 3, because they completely, like with D3, they completely missed the point of the other two Mighty Ducks movies in D3, much like they did in Pitch Perfect 2, Pitch Perfect 22, except this time around, Anna Kendrick's not being replaced by some third-rate actor, like Emilio Estevez was replaced by a third-rate actor in D3, but, I don't know if he was third-rate, but he's definitely not, he wasn't as well known as Emilio Estevez, but you get the idea. This movie overall is such a failure on so many levels. You feel like this one is definitely the one where they had studio interference and the army coming in here. Like, why is the U.S. Army getting involved in this movie here? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, it's just such an unmitigated disaster. It's a mess of a series. Like, and the only way this series found its way back is when they did that Peacock series with Adam Devine's character. What was it called? Pitch Perfect. I can't even remember the name of it. It's got Adam Devine in its character. Bumper in Berlin is what it's called. I just saw the name for it here, but yeah, that was definitely what should have been a better third film, because it fits more with the other two Pitch Perfect movies rather than whatever the fuck this was. So, needless to say, it's a hard skip for Pitch Perfect 3. So let's get to the bigger musical, the one that went on to become a success in its own right, but maybe not for the reasons that I think they wanted it to. But the music overall is great. The movie, it's complicated. Let's talk about The Greatest Showman.
When I had your attention. You're all dismissed.
Bankrupt. Better luck with your next job.
I am not a stranger to the dark.
This is not the life I promised you. Not even close.
'Cause we don't want your broken parts.
Girls, I think I've had an idea.
Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum.
P.T. Barnum, at your service.
To be seen.
I'm putting together a show,
No apologies.
and I need a star. Every one of us is special. And nobody is like anyone else. That's the point of my show. Ready? Showtime.
Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me.
Good song, but the movie is crap.
Yeah, I think Moses kind of summed it up nicely with this movie, because that's how I felt about it. Good songs, but the movie is crap. And I hate to have to talk bad about this movie, because there is a lot about this movie I do like, but the stuff that's just bad, it's rough. It's definitely rough indeed. So in the film, you have Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum, and this is inspired by the story of Barnum's creation of the Barnum and Bailey Circus and the lives of its star attractions. The movie kind of sells itself as, going back to Simpsons again, as like the Troy McClure project he was going to do when he didn't get the McBain movie. You know, what was it called? I gotta get it here. The Contrabulous Fantraption of Professor Horatio Huffnagel. Was it a hit? 20th Century Fox thought it was, and we'll never know because they never brought it up again after that, which probably should give you a warning right there. But yeah, that's what this movie kind of felt like when they first announced it. But I mean, again, I hate to talk bad about it because the soundtrack is amazing. I'm not even kidding. This is one of the best soundtracks of recent years, man. You know, the soundtrack is so amazing, and a lot of it is written by the guys who did the music for La La Land. It's great. But the movie itself is just so bland and so forgettable. The acting is good. Hugh Jackman's heart's clearly in the right place. He is giving it his all. Zac Efron's really solid. And Zendaya, this is one of the movies that really showed that she's on her way to becoming this really great actress over time here. And yeah, she and Efron have a lot of good chemistry in this movie. You do buy their relationship overall. Michelle Williams is just okay. She's just kind of being the cliched love interest for Jackman's character because well, obviously he's his wife, but I mean they really didn't use her very much well in this movie. But the story is really where it just really this is where the movie really falls apart because it's such a cliched riddled misfire, and it just ruins the overall experience of the film because you don't like anybody else in this movie, especially Rebecca Ferguson, which is an actress I've talked great about because of Mission Impossible, but when she's out of Mission Impossible, Hollywood just has no idea what to do with her because every movie she's been in since then has just been a mess. Like, they do not write this character at all. All she does in this movie is to just be the homewrecker to Hugh Jackman's character. That's it. She has no other role in this except to be the person who's the third wheel in this perfect marriage, and that's all she is. She has no character. She's a waste, and once again, this is yet another movie where they take a promising actress like her and just completely give her nothing to do but just be a bland sex symbol. I mean, go look at the other movies she's in. The Girl on the Train, Life, The Snowman, and this movie. She's only there to be the beautiful woman in this, a sex object, or just to be the generic female lead in the movie. Her talents are being wasted, and it's amazing that it took them almost 4 years after we first saw her in Rogue Nation, where someone actually used her talent, and that was Mike Flanagan with Dr. Sleep. That's been her best performance since then. I mean, it's just, like, how do you not use this person at all? It just makes no sense. But the movie is just such a mediocre mess. But it doesn't help that you have all these terrible cliches. Like, the one I didn't mention in my original review was the fact that, you know, they have this guy that keeps showing up who's like, you know, I hate these freaks and all that, and he becomes somewhat of a villain because there's a point towards the end of the film where he just sets the building on fire for no other reason except, ooh, I hate freaks. And it's just like, why are you even in here? Like, what is your character's purpose for being in here? It makes no sense at all. And it's just, it pains me to say this because the soundtrack is the best thing about this movie, but the rest of the movie just doesn't work. I'm getting sick and tired of all these recent musicals putting more attention to the soundtrack than the actual script. We look at some of the greatest musicals of all time, and the effort is there on both sides. Grease, Saturday Night Fever, Chicago, even terrible stuff like Staying Alive has a great soundtrack and is a movie that is so bad it's so good. That's a much better movie than this movie is. Think about that. But that's what makes for great musicals, when you have both efforts being put on the story and the soundtrack. This one could have been one of them, but no, they put more effort into the soundtrack, but not the story. And you know, like I said, I love the soundtrack for this. I listen to the soundtrack every once in a while, but I have not. Let's put it this way: I haven't watched this movie in full since I first saw it in theaters. That was almost 7 years ago. That was actually 8 years ago because I think I saw it in the beginning of 2018 when it came out. But yeah, I haven't seen the movie since, and quite frankly, I don't really want to see the movie again because I don't remember liking the movie much at all. But that soundtrack, I will listen to it any day of the week. So, yeah, not much more to say about that. But The Greatest Showman, not really the greatest show itself, but the soundtrack is balling, but the movie is not. So, So let's go ahead and see if we can continue to get out of this. Let's see if we can get out of the mess of humiliation, because Pitch Perfect 3 was a misfire, so was The Greatest Showman. Hopefully, George Clooney's latest film, no, this is not George Clooney's latest film, Alexander Payne's latest film, the second film with Matt Damon in it, from Paramount, is Downsizing. Let's see if he can fix things.
Is available in aubergine.
Is that like red?
So the decision to...
Downsizing takes the pressure right off, especially money pressure. We live like kings.
Your $100,000 translates to $12 million.
Wow.
I just got another diamond bracelet.
Nervous?
Little.
Downsizing.
Isn't that cute?
Oh my god.
December 22nd.
I said George Clooney because Matt Damon was in another movie earlier this year that had him in it with a Suburbicon, which was also an underwhelming misfire here. And the premise of this is so good, and I think you can figure out what happens next year. But Matt Damon stars as Paul Safranek, who decides to undergo a recently invented procedure to shrink his body so he can start a new life in an experimental community, which he ends up doing along with his wife, played by Kristen Wiig, who does it alone when his wife backs out at the last minute. I guess they don't show you that in the trailer there, obviously. But his journey takes an unexpected turn as he befriends an impoverished activist played by Christoph Waltz. And you also have Hong Chow in this movie as well. This is directed by Alexander Payne, who gave us Sideways, and he did The Descendants, and did he do The Way Back? No, he didn't. He did Nebraska. So this is a really good director, a really good idea too. I mean, this is a really, really solid idea that could make for so much good stuff. But once again, it's a movie that focuses on one factor instead of all the factors. The movie looks great, it's visually pleasing to look at, but the story is just so unnervingly annoying. Like, it's a movie where they have all these great ideas, but the problem is they don't have an idea of how to make it into a great film in the end. They have the idea right, but the rest of the movie, zip, nada. I mean, this movie was so boring. I mean, how do you make a movie that looks this good, this boring? I mean, it is one of the blandest stories ever. The movie itself just really just falls apart at the seams once they get into the actual storyline of the film. And by the way, I was incorrect on the activist here. He's not Christoph Waltz. He's actually the profiteer who. He's actually a profiteer in this movie, but it's a Hong Chow. Hong Chow is the Vietnamese activist in this movie, who you may remember recently, who was in The Whale with Brendan Fraser. So I can't even get that right, but, I mean, again, the movie has a good idea. It has a good idea of what it wants to be, but it just can't finish the job in the end. It just makes me go like my brain is exploding on how much this movie does not give a fuck about trying to make a good film in the end. And the film just backfires on so many levels. On a technical level, yes, it looks amazing, but once again, in the scripting department, it just falls apart at the seams so goddamn quickly, and it's just, this one could have been so good. It looked like they had a good idea to it, and then they just shat out a piece of garbage. So, yeah, avoid Downsizing if you can, but as bad as some of these lackluster films have been, it is nothing compared to what is easily the worst movie of the entire weekend. An honor is a permanent member of one of the worst movie posters you will ever see in your entire goddamn life. Let's talk about Father Figures.
Go find him. Look at this poor guy. He could easily be a serial killer.
We'll give you a ride, but...
Almost kill you? Can't kill you. Does the name Helen Baxter ring a bell?
It does more than ring a bell.
Oh, Rod,
She was like a sexual ninja.
She's our mom.
I don't know no Helen Baxter.
I won't rest until we find our dad.
You killed Dad. Father Figures.
What, you don't believe me? You don't remember when I showed you this god-awful poster? Well, if you don't remember, here's a little refresher for you. I mean, just look at this! Look at how terrible this whole thing is! Not one person looks like they're on this they're taking a picture here. It looks like the person who put this together just took various shots from premieres and all that, and just plastered them all in this one poster. Like, look at Christopher Walken. Like, that's not a picture that he took for this movie. That's a picture he took for a headshot, or someone was taking pictures of him on the red carpet or something. But this just looks terrible. Like, who in the right mind greenlit this? Who looked at this at Warner Brothers and said, No, that's good. Keep it in there. We love it. Spoiler alert. I don't think anybody loved it because, holy mother of God, that is bad. But, would you expect anything less from a movie that was filmed 2.5 years ago? So, you know what that means. It was sitting on a shelf at Warner Brothers because they knew it was bad. So, Father Figures, a.k.a. Who's Your Daddy, a.k.a. Bastards, which was literally the title they were going to go with, but I guess Warner Brothers said, you can't call a movie called Bastards. Call it something even more generic and bland, like, I don't know, Father Figures or something like that. Because that's about as zero effort that they do in this movie here, because, yeah, this is awful. Owen Wilson and Ed Helms star as two adult brothers who set out to find their biological father by encountering the men that their mother used to date. Their mother being Glenn Close, and the people involved include Terry Bradshaw, Ving Rhames, and Christopher Walken. Cat Williams also shows up to be kind of their spiritual guide, the literal magical, mystical Negro of the movie, which, yeah, you wouldn't think a movie like this would need a magical, mystical Negro, but it turns out that, yeah, he is very much like that. In fact, the movie literally ends with the hitchhiker giving advice and saying that, you know, his big payoff at the end of the movie is saying that the Illuminati is real, and that, that's actually all that happens. I thought there was much more. I thought he was literally, from my memory banks, I thought that he said that also that, you know, Bush did 9/11 or that type of thing, but no. The movie literally ends with him saying that, you know, he's the universe, and he's behind these terrible graphics, like something out of an Adult Swim show, like something out of Tim and Eric's awesome show, Great Job. That's how terrible this looks. And he literally ends the movie by going, the Illuminati is real, y'all. Credits roll. I am not even kidding you. That is how this piece of garbage comes to an end. This movie, I don't even know what the fuck this was. Like, this is unbelievably awful on so many levels. The premise makes no sense whatsoever, and it just felt like they were just making it up as they go along. Like, this thing was just put together at the last minute. It just feels that way, and you could just tell that they knew this movie was going to flop right from the get-go. So, dump it on Christmas weekend. Like, why wait until January so you could say that, oh, well, we opened it in the dumping month of January? I mean, clearly we didn't know what we were doing. No, dump it in the middle of December. Put it in the same area that Why Him and Point Break opened up the last two Christmases. Movies that were obviously bad, and the studios knew it. And, well, technically Why Him wasn't a Warner Brothers movie, but Point Break was. But, yeah. I mean, that's a move that you know that if a studio is doing that, then they know they developed it. Then they put together a really bad turkey here. Because, yeah, this movie is terrible. This is unbelievably bad. This is one of the worst comedies I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, I've always talked about recently doing a list of the worst movies I've seen since Lucy came out. And Animal Farm will definitely be up there at number one. Because Lucy was always my number one worst movie I've ever saw until I saw Animal Farm. Father Figures definitely would be on that list because, yeah, I couldn't believe the nerve and the audacity of this movie to be as bad as it was. This is ungodly awful on so many levels. Just, avoid this movie like the plague, for the love of God. We gotta get better from here, man. And, Steven Spielberg, you're our only hope. Steven, help us out, brother. Give us a good movie to watch after these god-awful movies. You know, Pitch Perfect 3, The Greatest Showman, Downsizing, Father Figures. You're our only hope, Spielberg. You're our only hope.
Fargo.
Just government secrets.
From Steven Spielberg.
What's next?
Based on the untold true story.
If we publish, we could all go to prison.
The greatest cover-up in U.S. history.
How could you just lie to us all?
Meryl Streep.
You can't do this.
I'm not asking your permission.
Tom Hanks.
If we don't publish, we will lose. The country will lose.
The Post.
What are you so happy about?
I always wanted to be part of a small rebellion.
Rated PG-13.
Saints be praised, you delivered on another great movie. Maybe not one of your stronger movies, but clearly a film that you made simply because of Spotlight's success over the last couple of years. But hey, it's at least a capable movie all across the board. So there's that. So this is The Post. This is based on the story about the true story of the attempts by the journalists of the Washington Post to publish the Pentagon Papers, classified documents regarding the 30-year involvement of the United States government in the Vietnam War. Now, obviously, there's a lot of consistencies between Richard Nixon, which is the film based off of, and the current president of the United States, who also was the president when this was coming out, and also had specific documents that were going to be that people were asking to be brought out. Not like what's happening today with the Epstein files. Yeah, I bet you forgot about the Epstein files, considering everything else that's gone on since then. But regardless, though, this is another winner for Steven Spielberg. It can be a little too predictable and formulaic at times, and like I said, definitely feels like a film that is just right on the heels of Spotlight becoming the Oscar winner for Best Picture a few years back. But I did end up enjoying this movie a lot. I think it works because you have a really strong cast that includes Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, a cast that also includes notable people like Carrie Coon, Bruce Greenwood, Matthew Rhys, Bob Odenkirk, Bradley Whitford, David Cross. So, yeah, they cast very well here. The cinematography, once again, is great by Janusz Kaminski. She does a very good job with that. John Williams creates a good score around. And again, the biggest problem with it is the script overall. It is a little too formulaic, and like I said, it helps that one of the writers also wrote Spotlight, so it felt like they were trying to create. It felt like Fox was trying to create their own Spotlight here, and I don't know if it's going to make any list of Steven Spielberg's best movies overall, but I liked it enough. I think it's still a very good movie. Great cast, great drama, great cinematography, great music all around. If the script had been a whole lot better, we probably would have had something incredible as one of the year's best films. But as it stands, good movie, not one of his best overall. And again, it was one of those movies that he was making back-to-back, kind of like with Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, which is easily his best double feature of the year. And of course, Last Crusade and Always in '89, Amistad and Lost World in '97, which both of those movies were pretty bad, and War of the Worlds in Munich in 2005, Munich being the better film of the two, and Tintin and Warhorse in 2011, which Tintin was easily the better film. Warhorse is the worst thing he's directed, but and of course, right after this, about 3 months from now, we're gonna have his next film, Ready Player One, which. Actually, I don't remember if I liked Ready Player One better than The Post. I like both of those movies, but we'll get to that one eventually when we get to March. But The Post overall, great movie, not one of his best films overall. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that's Christian Bale starring in Hostiles.
Something tells me you ain't got the nerve to fire that woman.
Audiences across America are raving about Hostiles, and critics agree it's one of the best films of the year.
You have no idea what war does to me.
It grabs you by the throat and holds on. A powder keg of a Western, the finest since Unforgiven. Don't miss Academy Award winner Christian Bale in Hostiles. Rated R, not playing.
I mean, considering that we haven't had that many great Westerns since Unforgiven, I think easily the best one was Open Range. And I think that one really was the best overall one we've had. There's been a couple of other ones, but I mean, I'll give him credit where credit is due. This definitely is one of the stronger Westerns we've had since Unforgiven, but then again, that's really not saying a whole lot. Christian Bale stars as a U.S. Army cavalry officer in 1892 who must escort a Cheyenne war chief, played by Wes Studi, and his family back to their home in Montana. And what I think makes this work is because you have a good director in Scott Cooper, who's made a lot of good films I've liked. Some stuff that hasn't been as great, like Out of the Furnace or Black Mass, but he did stuff like Crazy Heart, and recently he did Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, which I thought was pretty good. And this one's definitely one of his stronger films overall, with a great cast. It also includes Rosalind Pike, Jesse Plemons, Adam Beach, Roy Cochran, Ben Foster. Timothy Chalamet has a supporting role in this, as well as Jonathan Majors, back when Jonathan Majors was likable and then didn't fall down the Army Hammer rabbit hole. But yeah, overall, this is a good film. It's not really one of the strongest Westerns overall, but certainly is a lot better than a lot of the Westerns that have come since Unforgiven. I mean, like I said, Westerns unfortunately haven't had that great track record overall. Return to Yuma was also really good, though, which also had Christian Bale in it. And I'm probably missing some other ones too, but yeah, this is definitely one of the better ones overall. That really isn't saying a whole lot, like I said, but it's a good movie. It's one I definitely say check out if you haven't seen it, because it actually is a very solid film overall. So I do recommend Hostiles. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and next time around, we'll wrap 2017 off with a couple of notable movies. Ridley Scott is back with a new movie, All the Money in the World, featuring the infamous changing of casting from Kevin Spacey to Christopher Plummer, because those two actors clearly seem like the same person, but It surely isn't going to show when we show the actual movie here, but we'll take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at Jessica Chastain in Molly's Game. We also have Daniel Day-Lewis trying for another Oscar in Phantom Thread. And is that all we got? Yeah, that's it. That's the last 3 films we'll look at in the release dates for 2017, but I've already got the 2017 leftovers. We'll save that for the next episode after that, but we're going to take a look at All the Money in the World, Molly's Game, and Phantom Thread next time. So be on the lookout for that coming up tomorrow on the show. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.